Okay, so I actually remember to hit record this time. Did you hit record?
It's recording and I'm recording too.
Okay, cool. Well, hey guys, so these are more unofficial podcasts as it is. You guys already know. I'm gonna try not to edit them. Whatever comedy, whatever we say is gonna be in here. I'll only edit it if I don't know, something that is not supposed to appear on the screen does, or there's technical difficulties, I guess. But moving forward, everybody, welcome back to Castle's Corner. We are joined again by Joaquin. He had a wonderful question last week, and we didn't have time for it. And this is a really great question for all of you for quite a few reasons. But because basically I'm going to be giving you my exact workout plan and schedule that I follow, all of the muscle groups that I target, why I do so, and I'm going to try my very best to keep it as short as possible. So if the video is over 15 minutes, I failed. So apologies for that. So you'll know just by looking at it whether I did a good job or not. I'm gonna try to keep it as short as I can, guys. So anyways, Joaquin, why don't you go ahead and ask the question? What was it, brother? Thank you again. Welcome back. I appreciate you doing this with me. It was a great idea you had.
Thank you for inviting me, man. And yeah, the question was pretty much what you said. We always talk about for hypertrophy. I mean, the body is full of muscles, but there are some muscles that are the primary muscles and they have the most growth capacity. And we always talk about they are 22 muscles. And I was asking you if the 22 muscles, I had a list I made of them. And I asked you, are these the 22 muscles? And you said yes, but I also train around 28 muscles because you also train the respiratory muscles, the fascia work, and all that stuff that we were going to talk about today. So yeah, that's pretty much was the question. I asked you one thing and you came up with another important subject. So yeah.
Well, that again, a big part of this, the reason for this podcast is, as you all know, I do my videos, but my videos are on one topic, and you all have a lot of comments after the videos. I have 800 videos. I have all my books and stuff, but it's a lot of information to process. So I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet. But at the same time, as we all know, life is not that simple. It's not quite black and white. It's not cut and dried, unfortunately. There are nuances. And so we're going to have to get up. Well, I'm going to have to dive into that a little bit today. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you on the spot yet, Keith, but you better be learning. All right. So, in essence, let's just go through the muscle groups real quick. And then we're going to get into a couple other things, which basically we have to get into in order to explain this properly, even succinctly.
Hello and welcome to Castle's Corner. I'm Coach Castle, and I'm here to educate you in the latest science regarding biomechanics, biochemistry, respiratory health, nutrition, and much more. Please remember to subscribe to this channel and like these videos if you find this content helpful. But now, let's go ahead and get into the video.
So the muscle groups in no particular order, I suppose, starting with the arms, would be the forearm flexors, the forearm extensors, then the biceps, and the triceps, and you have your rear delt, your lateral delt, and your front delt. You have your upper traps, your middle trap, and your lower trap. Then you have your pectorals. That's one muscle group. I'm not counting it as more than one. Pectorals is one muscle group. If you're not sure why, check out my other videos. You have your lats. You have your obliques, which require two separate movements. We'll get into that later if we need to. You have your abdominals, which is only one muscle group. You have your erector spinae. Then you have on your legs, you got your glutes, you got your psoas, you got your adductors and your abductors. Then you got your quads, you got your hamstrings, your calf, and you got your tibius anterior. Now, these in essence are the muscles which everybody who follows the BRIC 20 knows. Now, those are actually 23 muscle groups. If you count them the way that I did, it's 23, I think, unless I miscounted somewhere. But those are the ones you guys who follow the BRIC 20 know. Now, I've said this multiple times. I'll have to say it again here to make a point of it, I guess. But while Doug Brignoli was my mentor for more than 8 years, it's not as if those are like that's the end all be all of biomechanics. I've been studying lots of other aspects of biomechanics, let's just say, as long as lots of other exercise physiology and other aspects of human anatomy and chemistry and stuff for many years as well. And all of this comes into play. Now, while I will never disagree with the late and great Doug Brignoli on the biomechanic aspect, at least not yet. I haven't had reason to disagree on it. We did disagree on lots of other stuff. For example, he did not do direct respiratory training. I always try to get them doing it. The most I could get them to do is stomach vacuums. So we'll get into that in a minute. But anyway, so you guys get the idea. There's lots of other nuances. So the other muscle groups which I add to that are your pelvic floor muscles. And yeah, this doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, you should be training them. I also add my diaphragm and my serratus anterior to those muscle groups. Furthermore, additionally to that, I specifically do tendon training. I also specifically do stretching for 3 different reasons, 3 different kinds of stretching, you might say. And I also do, let's just say a lot of variety of mobility work. There's really not really names for it, but a large variety of mobility work that I do for multiple reasons. But anyway, so this always comes up. Let's just go with let's just say there's 26. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm not going to get to 28 because it might get slightly complicated. For the sake of simplicity, let's just say 26 exercises I would recommend most people do. This is what all of my clients do. These are the ones that I myself also do. We're talking exercises to specifically train these muscles. These are the most efficient exercises, meaning you can train these these muscle groups with one exercise pattern, one perfect exercise pattern per muscle group. Ideally, every 3 to 4 days, provided you're not doing failure training. If you are doing failure training, you'll have to wait longer, 5 to 6 days. Now, of course, this is subjective, whether you're taking PEDs or not, regardless what your hormone levels and stuff are. But essentially, the optimum training frequency for your exercises would be, let's say we have arm day. And arm day for me would be forearm flexors, forearm extensors, bicep, tricep, rear delt, lateral delt, front delt, and upper traps. That's my arm day. Now, I would do those exercises on, say, Monday, and I would then target them again on Thursday, perhaps Wednesday, depending on how hard I went. Let's just say that. You're always going to be wanting to shoot for, 2 to 3 sets, depending on your training style. There are multiple styles of training that we've covered. We're not going to get into that in this video. We have other videos, many other videos where I've discussed hypertrophy and the many different ways to achieve it. But suffice to say, in a nutshell, that's how you would do it. You would have an arm day, you would have a core day, and you would have a leg day. And this is how I program my training. So obviously the arm muscle groups are done on arm day. All of the core muscle groups are done on core day. And all of the leg muscle groups are done on leg day. Now you'd have those 3 days in a row. Typically people take 1 day off and then you have those 3 days in a row again. This is making sense, Joaquim? All pretty standard, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same way I train. But I trained just in my case, I know there's 22 maybe muscles, but as I've been training for a long time until recently, I've only been training like 12 exercises, like on arm day, I just did biceps, tricep, and shoulders. Not really upper traps, just for symmetry reasons. I didn't really like the appearance of big traps. For forearms, just recently I've started implementing direct work because I used to do things like pull-ups, and when I do biceps I do like the hammer curl, so I noticed some development on the forearm, so I never really worried about it. For a long time on my leg day I didn't train my adductors and my abductors, just I didn't really pay attention to it. So yeah, but the rest I understand that on a complete arm day, those will be all the muscles that I should be training and that everyone should be training.
Okay, so I wasn't going to address this too much, but let me just keep me short on this.
Yeah.
I'm counting on you. Keep me short on this one.
Let's keep going.
Something I referred to many times in other videos, perhaps I'm not doing a good enough job explaining why it's important, but it's the concept of biotensegrity. So this is, in essence, the bones of your skeleton are never touching each other. Instead, they're held together in a very complex, incredibly complex, dense lattice work of tendons, fascia, tissue, muscle, all of these things. But your bones never actually touch. They're basically in a very complex lattice work of a suspension bridge. So picture a suspension bridge, in the 5th dimension. I don't know. That's your human body, essentially. Now, if you were to be standing just upright facing the wall, feet facing the wall in front of you, and then I asked you to turn around completely 180 degrees and look directly behind you, you wouldn't be able to do that without your feet also shifting. Now that's because your head is rotating your spine, which is rotating your pelvis, which is connected to your two legs, which are even forcing your feet to pronate to allow this movement to happen. It's a very simple demonstration of just kind of how your whole body is interconnected. It's a big issue. I have a lot of videos on this, but it's a big issue where people go to the doctor. They say, I have a pain in my shoulder, my neck, my rib, or whatever. And the doctor prescribes them a pain medication, or they says to go to the physical therapist for this thing or the other. But it's a referred pain because they're wearing horrible shoes, or it's how they're sitting throughout the day, which is causing this. It's literally starting somewhere else, and the pain is ending up there, essentially. But this is exactly what I'm talking about with workouts. So I can't tell you how many people, just people, clients, everybody I've dealt with in general who might have a very developed chest. They might have great biceps, triceps, great shoulders, and then they have no back. And because they have no back, they have a really weird forward caved in appearance. They don't have lats. They don't have muscles which are actually pulling their body into what's known as proper alignment. Now, I'm not going to get too much into this, but suffice to say, I don't want to get technical. Everyone has a unique skeleton, but your skeleton does have proper alignment regardless of the actual shape or size of the bones in your body. It does have proper alignment to be properly functioning. So if you're neglecting muscle groups in your training, in summary, if you're only training your forearm flexors but not your forearm extensors, you're going to cause your forearm flexors to get overstretched. Your forearm extensors to get overstretched and overlengthened, and then your forearm flexors to get overshortened and overcontracted. And this is going to cause chronic issues within you. Again, because it's not like your fingers, they don't have muscles, they have tendons. These tendons run all the way up into your forearm. And if you're constantly only doing one of them, you're going to be constantly contracting the tendons in only one direction. I mean, it's just an example with forearm flexors, but I mean,
makes sense. Makes total sense.
So when you're doing your exercises, there's a reason that with my clients, not only, well, we're going to get into it in just 1 second, but not only do I teach them, here's the exercises, and I show them how to do it with cables for biceps. Then I show them how to do it with dumbbells with biceps. Then I show them how to do it with body weight for biceps. Then I show them how to do it modified for each one of those. Then I explain why this works this way with biceps. Then we do it with triceps. Then we do it with every single muscle group on the body. And then my clients fully understand, no matter where the hell in the world they are, how their body works, how it functions, and how to exercise with anything that is next to them. They don't need anything because they understand the principles of loading a muscle. You don't need a gym to load a muscle intelligently. You need to know how to direct the load to the targeted muscle with proper, let's just say, proper muscle building principles applied. So you have to be coming close to failure within the specific range of reps. You have to make sure it's exclusively isolated to that muscle. You have to make sure, all these common sense things. So is all this making sense, Joaquin? Are you following me?
Yeah, makes sense. Sorry for making you go even longer on this because
it's really all necessary stuff to understand. It is. And this, again, these are things that you just frankly are never going to hear anybody else on YouTube talking about these because nobody else knows this stuff. They're just babbling morons who don't do any research, most of them, I should say. It's always a bell curve when I say these things. Don't hate me, guys. It's literally always a bell curve. Most of them are babbling morons who are trying to get followers. They're paying for it. They have no actual knowledge of science, biomechanics, biochemistry, no knowledge really. But they talk like they do. They use fancy words. As soon as you challenge them on any of their concepts, they're completely lost. They're broken down completely. They don't understand any actual relevant data. But again, even just working with me for a couple months, you have a comprehensive understanding of the basics of biomechanics, respiratory health, etc. You already know more than these guys. It's pretty cool. But anyway, getting back to the exercises. So this is something I was alluding to earlier, is something that you must understand about exercises. I think this is fairly simple to follow if you can do it in steps. So I'm going to try to hit a couple steps with you, Joaquin, and I'd like you to bear in mind here that, we both have a good bit of knowledge in this field. So if I'm saying something and even just a little bit, you're not following or doesn't quite make sense, probably other people aren't as well. So catch me on this, okay?
Yeah.
Thanks,
sure.
So I just got this guy on Amazon. I thought we'd try to use him for some demos on here. So we just got there we go. A handsome little muscular guy here. I think we can see him okay. He needs better lighting. Got to give the bodybuilder lighting. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's why bodybuilders like elevators that got that overhead lighting. It always brings out the definition. I think back in the old school days, they used to go to the beach at noon because the sun was directly overhead. If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. But they might still
That's
do that.
more-
I mean, yeah. So we can see him. Okay. All right, guys. So I haven't named him yet. I don't know. Leave an idea for a name in the comments. But here's this guy. Now I'm going to demonstrate some exercise to you, so I don't have to. You're not going to see my whole body if I try to demonstrate on camera, obviously. So I'm going to use him. Now, let's just say I'm going to assume most of you following along know what the front delt press is. The front deltoid is located essentially right here on your body. Just think of it as a very small bicep. So the bicep crosses here, pulls the forearm up. The front deltoid crosses here, pulls the upper arm up. It basically just contracts just like a bicep right here. Okay? So we have this guy. Let's just pretend that he is laying on a workout bench. His legs do not sound good. Maybe I should have warmed him up. Anyways, kind of looks like a sacrifice, but let's pretend he's laying on a workout bench. He's going to be doing a front deltoid press, meaning, in this case, again, most of you know, but forgive me, he's basically going to have his arms on his body, hopefully, parallel. He's got another one, I promise, it just fell off. Parallel to each other. So he's got both his arms like an equal sign or like railroad tracks parallel to each other, starting with his elbows just behind his back, then going up and concluding the movement like so. So from here, this is really, really poor quality stop motion. Sorry, guys. Maybe I should wear a green suit to here. Okay. Now, if this is a dumbbell or a barbell or a cinder block or whatever it is, this works nicely. It's gravity. So in this case, the dumbbell is moving up and down through gravity. Make sense?
Yeah, on a straight line. Yeah.
So again, gravity is just straight down, guys. I'm not going to get complicated with gravity. If you're a flat earther, get out of here. Gravity is just straight down. Now, let's just say, I don't know, for whatever reason, the gym doesn't have dumbbells. It's a hotel gym. They have a cable machine. You got to do your front deltoids. What else could you do other than dumbbells for your front deltoids? Joaquin, go. Don't say anything with cables.
Nothing with cables for your
Front delts.
no dumbbells, no cables.
Nope. What are you going to use?
In this case, I would do a push-up, but on a closed stance for my front deltoids to imitate this. Oh, my camera fell. Just a second.
Is that good? Yeah.
To imitate this movement. This would be my initial point. Just like I'm on a straight line, but it's the same as I'm laying down because of gravity, and I would do like this, and it's this same contraction that the little person is doing there.
Let me move him without snapping a leg off. Kind of looks like Jaws got a hold of him. I feel bad. Sorry. So let's pretend now he's doing a push-up. So going to do a push-up. It's the same thing. Going to start with his forearms parallel to each other like railroad tracks. I don't know if I'm breaking them or not, but whatever. I get another one. Forearm parallel to each other like the railroad tracks. Going to finish the conclusion of the push-up just like this. Now let's think about the resistance curve for this. So when I got the dumbbell and I'm doing it like this, dumbbell straight up and down here. Resistance curve is starting with the upper arm behind the body, meaning the front deltoid is starting in a stretched position because the elbow is behind the body. It's going to be concluding with the front deltoid in a fully contracted position. Yep. But let's take it a step further. In the beginning position, starting, the front deltoid will be stretched, and also the most amount of load is going to be placed upon the front deltoid due to body positioning and the length of the lever.
Yeah.
Okay. And concluding the movement of the front deltoid is going to be the least amount of weight due to body position and the lever's position. The lever is now, the upper arm, is now parallel with gravity, meaning little to no load in the front deltoid while the front deltoid is fully contracted. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Oh,
And
so it's a pretty decent movement.
it's a very
The
decent movement.
only difference I've noticed, differently to doing it in a bench with some dumbbells, is that maybe when I'm doing the push-up, I feel a bit more participation from my triceps when I'm doing the push-ups.
Yep. So here's how you could I don't want to say avoid that, but lessen that. This is going to sound very strange, but it is how muscles work. You want to actually focus exclusively on your elbow, and you're going to be prioritizing elbow moving forward. It also helps if you're up on your fists, either on your fist like this on a towel or the gym floor, or on your fist like this, just like you're holding dumbbells. This way, you're prioritizing the front deltoid and not the pectorals. Make sense?
Yeah, like in a supine. How is I don't know the name in English. Yeah, I do this. I actually place my hands kind of like this.
Now to modify it, you would just go on your knees. Sorry to interrupt. But to modify it, you would just go on your knees, and you would do exactly the same thing, which again follows the same principle, the same resistance curve. Okay.
Yep.
Now we're going to take it a step further. Oh my goodness, this leg came out.
It's freaking apart.
I need to get him. I think it's supposed to, not the arm. I think the arm I broke. But I think these are supposed to be. Oh, well, he's fine. He only needs one arm. He's a warrior. Let me plug him back into the matrix. Okay. So now let's pretend, just pretend that he's got a table machine. One second, sorry guys. 1 second, I'm almost done. This should just about be good. Okay, cool. So he's got a cable machine behind him.
There we go.
This is going to be him in the concluded position. Well, kind of. I did a bad job with the cable. I'll fix that. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty understandable. It's when you are completely contracted. When you're
and then, again, just in the beginning position. And it'd be just, once again, it's just the same thing, guys. It doesn't matter. It's the same resistance curve. It's the same movement pattern. Now, he can be sitting like this. He could be sitting like this. It doesn't matter. It's the torso in relation to the upper arm. It's the torso's position in relation to what the upper arm is doing. Now, one of the ones I like to do is actually lean forward like this and just use a single cable. And the origination is like this. It's just convenient for me to do with my setup. It's one I particularly like. But I think you guys, well, you tell me, are you guys getting the idea that there is one best movement pattern that can be done with anything from body weight to dumbbells to cable, provided you have the right information?
Yep. In conclusion, the best movement pattern for the front deltoid will be to be stretched in a position like this with the torso upright and just completely going here. And it could be the same using a dumbbell. It would be the resistance would be the dumbbell falling towards the floor because of gravity. On a front delt push-up, it will be your body falling, so you have to lift your body. And if you're using a cable machine, you can do it any way. You can do it like you do, like in a diagonal way, or you can do it like horizontal, or it going upwards, because the cable always goes like there's no gravity really applying there, because
Well, the great thing about the cable is you can think about the cable as a visual representation of gravity. So, for example, when you're doing the tricep extension, a really simple cue that I have all my clients kind of abide by is at the conclusion of the movement, the cable should be mostly parallel with your forearm and upper arm. That way, if the cable is mostly parallel with your forearm and upper arm, mostly parallel, you know that the tricep has little to no load on it at the conclusion of the movement. As long as that is the case at the conclusion of the movement, don't move your body, you know the start of the movement is going to be correct. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's a really same thing with the lat pull or any other movement. You can start from the conclusion of the movement with literally just start from the conclusion of whatever muscle you're trying to do. So a fully contracted position for that muscle, and then mentally work backwards to the start position. It's easy once you understand the principles, I suppose. But moving forward, in essence, now let's just get to the second part. I'll try to keep this short because I did explain it comprehensively in the last video we did, but my workouts consist of this: arm day, core day, leg day, day off, arm day, leg day, core day. Okay? Now, they are different workouts. They're the same exact exercise movement patterns. The workouts themselves are different because in one case, well, let's just go through the set. So, and this is my workout week. So I already know my workout week is these 7 days. It's going to be hit twice, just like this. Monday on arm day, I'm going to do it in a kind of a cycle. So I'm going to do it with moderate weight, looking for 20 to 30 reps every time. And I'm going to be doing biceps, then triceps, then you guys already know the list, through all of the arm exercises, back to the start, doing it again, back to the start, doing it again, back to the start, do it again, usually 4 or 5 times depending on my mood. Now that I'm going to do all of my workouts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, arms, legs, and core. I'm going to do exactly in that style. Moderate weight, 20 to 30 reps in a cycle, no breaks, just going like that, nice and easy, one muscle group at a time. All of them. Yep. Then I get a day off for recovering. Then I have the same exact workout schedule. Really the same exercises, nothing changes except a couple tiny things. Here's what changes. Now I lessen the weight. The weight goes down. Now I do biceps, 30 seconds. Biceps, 30 seconds. Biceps, 30 seconds. Biceps, 30 seconds. Biceps. Then I go triceps, 30 seconds. Triceps, 30 seconds. Till I get all 5. You guys get the idea. This is a completely different style of training. One style of training, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, let's just say, those first 3 days, that's training me. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but that's training me a very different way than how I'm training the other days. Yep. Now, on top of that, well, does all that make sense? I mean, we did cover this comprehensively.
Yeah, we covered it on the first video we made where we discussed hypertrophy. One is more like focused on progressive overload, and the other one is more like feeder sets type of training, where you're improving like blood circulation. Like,
well, you should be progressively overloading with both. You should be progressively overloading with both, honestly. But regardless, so anyways, so that's that. But again, I'm going to take it back. These are not a lot of exercises to do. They're really not. I know I've been doing this for going on over 8 years now, the same exact exercise, which, by the way, I should just say anecdotally, even though it's not really anecdotally, but at least for myself, consecutively only doing these exercises I get smarter as I age, obviously, so things have changed, but the exercises themselves really haven't. I put on anywhere from 4 to 5 pounds of muscle a year. And I've been doing this for the last 8 years. And every year I just keep getting bigger. To take it to the argument of the compound exercises, we addressed this in the previous video. Compound exercises, I don't want to apologize, but they're just not effective. To look at it from another perspective, we have only been exercising about 100 years, people. Of that 100 years of exercise, we've only even had squat racks for about 60 of those. Exercise science, the actual science of exercise, has been progressing alongside medicine really rapidly lately, but there really wasn't much done beforehand. It was literally all done by feel. Exercise was started by a bunch of egomaniacs who wanted to see who could move logs faster, who could press rocks, who could show off more. It was circus performers. They were strongmen in circuses, which then went on into other things, changing and molding into the many very ridiculous disciplines we have nowadays. Now, I'm going to make a video about this, but I will touch on this very briefly right now because I've already made a lot of the points. A big part of what I want to accomplish in my life, and I'm going to spend a long goddamn time, probably my whole life, trying to accomplish, is teaching people you have no reason for a gym, no reason for a trainer. You have no excuses to not have the ideal body. It does not matter who you are. If you have an internet connection, you can get the right knowledge and begin applying it. Everyone can perform each and every exercise for every single muscle on their body perfectly, no matter where in the world they are, with nothing, without excuse. You would just gave you the right information. Watch 3 of my videos. You know everything to know. Done. All you have to do is then apply it consistently, which is, again, this is not something you were born with. You have to learn consistency. You have to learn discipline, something else I focus heavily on. And going back to the respiratory muscles, we're not going to touch on them this episode, but guys, 95% of people in the world do not breathe correctly. You have 10 or 12 pounds of breathing muscles you are completely ignoring and neglecting. And when you are exercising or doing anything, those muscles are supplying themselves with the oxygen that they're literally pumping into your body first as a priority so they can keep doing the work. That's because they are so freaking ineffective. They're making you sick. They're compromising your posture. You cannot perform at maximum output if your breathing muscles are taking 80% of the oxygen supply. That's supposed to be going to the muscles you're supposed to be using. Your shortness of breath, your vertical breathing is resulting in anxiety, any number of disorders. It's screwing up your sleep. Your sleep is the most important superpower you guys have. I could keep going, but the whole thing is, all you have is all you need except the right information. You could be homeless in a third world country, provided you are of sound mind and you can have access to some of this knowledge. You're good. You can be successful. It's not hard. But let's wrap this up for the day. Joaquin, I'm getting a little out of here. What else should I touch on in these topics here?
Well, I think we've already discussed the 26 or 28. I think there's still 2 missing that you didn't really want to get in because it would be kind of complicated.
It's just kind of pointless a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, maybe I think we've got all the movements covered. Not really on this video. We only discussed from deltoids, but in the channel you have, I think you have all the videos for all
I should say real quick, so again, I get this a lot in the comments and in the emails. Guys, I got over 800 videos on YouTube. I have, I think, 20 or 23 different playlists. One of those playlists is literally just biomechanically perfect exercises. It's just me demonstrating these movements I'm talking about for all of these muscle groups. Just one minute clip of just me demonstrating the movement with, whatever, cable, resistance band, dumbbell, weight, brick, body weight, something. I have, 3 different playlists about respiratory health. I have 2 different playlists about ego lifting versus biomechanics, just demonstrating mathematically how I'm correct. I have a great playlist. I really encourage people to watch. The videos are longer and it's just me monologuing. I apologize, it's kind of boring, but it's arguments for intelligent exercise. This is my favorite one, least viewed as well, but it's my favorite one where I actually get into the science behind exercise and why I'm right, basically. But of course, nobody watches those. So let's wrap this up, I guess, guys. I have another fun podcast with Jerry coming up this week. I have 2 new podcast guests next week. I have some really big news coming up soon. I hopefully will be announcing on the channel. And again, I don't count my chickens till they're hatched, but if it's good news, I'll be letting you guys know. If it's bad news, mum's the word. You didn't hear shit. And that's all I got, Joaquin. You any additional throw-in questions there? Anything you wanted to say? Any thoughts?
Yeah. No, not really. I think maybe I don't know if you have it in the channel, maybe for some muscles like a front deltoid, it's pretty easy to train with just body weight.
All of them.
Yeah, but with, for example, muscle like the biceps, you need to lift something.
Nope.
I've always pretty had some. Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe I still haven't seen you.
Okay, so let me see if I can visualize this for you. So an easy way to do biceps, think find something that's about hip height. So you could be a table, a picnic bench, a bar at the gym, the Smith machine, some such thing like that. You're going to try not to break him as much. I'm just gonna paint him and make him all cool. I'm just gonna try not to break him. So then you're gonna grab the bottom of the table. Pretend he has 2 arms. You're gonna grab the bottom of the table, just like so.
Yep.
Hold on. Mannequin doesn't do it justice.
You should be like parallel to
kind of like this.
Floor.
So kind of like this. Now your head is going to be under the table, just to be clear. So the table's here.
Yeah.
Okay, not over here. Table's over here. You're grabbing the side here or the bar, the whatever you're using. You get the idea.
Yeah.
Okay, and then all you're going to do is you're going to focus on bringing your shoulder to your fist. That's it. Keep shoulder to fist. The only thing that's kind of an issue for most people is just how they keep their body in space. So you just basically are keeping your lower legs here, just like that, nice and flat on the ground. You have to keep your pelvis rigid, so meaning you have to brace your core, of course. You're going to be starting kind of like this.
Yeah.
And then you make sense, all right? So you'll be starting kind of like this, and then you bring your shoulder. Can't do it with this guy, but you get the idea. You bring your shoulder to your fist, which ends you in a position kind of like that.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, of course, this is now less load because more of the load is down here, angle length wise. And in the starting position, there is more load. Now, unfortunately, this only works if you're strong enough to support yourself. The modified version would be do the same thing, but you would put your butt on a chair, perhaps. So you're resting your lower back and pelvis on a chair, but do the same exact thing. Now, of course, this is all a bit ridiculous. There's a million other things you could do. So, for example, if you have a partner, or you don't even need a partner, you just need a rope, I suppose. You hold here. Sorry, they hold here, you hold here, whatever. One of you does a bicep curl up. One of you is pulling down on the other side. Okay, that way you don't even need a weight. That's a really good way to isometrically work people. It's a lot of fun, actually. You're literally just kind of a tug of war between both of you. He's trying with his tricep. You're trying with your bicep.
Trying with your bicep.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. You can obviously, just about anything you can pick up can be used for your bicep. I always thought that was such a silly argument. What about a grocery bag full of sand?
Yeah, obviously the question was mainly because with your bicep it's more efficient to just lift anything, a rock, because I used to do this exercise that you mentioned. It's like a row but more focusing with my bicep and not using my middle traps. But I asked you this because I didn't think it was that much of an effective exercise, because on the
how you do it, it's always how you do it. It's always how you do it.
Because on the extended portion, I never felt the same amount of load that I felt maybe just doing a common dumbbell curl. When I was like this, I didn't really feel it.
Well, it's not going to be exactly the same. I don't want to get into the nuances here, but your bicep is a biarticulate muscle. So it does cross 2 joints technically. One of the joints goes on top of your scapular ridge on your shoulder blade. But it's different. It's slightly different, but it's also the reason why some days I do my workouts outside. I do front delta push-ups outside. Some days I do it inside with dumbbells. Some days I do it with cables. I screw around with it. I still do the perfect movements, but sometimes I incorporate my body in other ways just to provide that kind of resistance, that body proception, the ability to move your body throughout space. Now, an example, I just thought this would be an easy one because you just said biceps, but so everybody knows the bicep. We just kind of talked about it. What about shrugs? How would you do shrugs with body weight, right? Well, you can. It's just
an interesting one. Yeah.
So again, you got your shrugs, you're doing your, upper trap shrugs. Hopefully you have a 10-degree forward lean in your body because you're not a cobra. If you were a cobra, the muscles would originate on top of your head and this would be intelligent. It's not intelligent unless you lean forward because they connect on the back of your neck. So you got that forward lean here. You're going up and down. Nice. We're training the upper traps. Well, body weight, I can do this. I've had a couple clients who can do this. Don't do this unless you can do this. You can also just flip your happy ass upside down. Basically, just grab the dip bars, go upside down, rest your feet on the wall. If you don't have good body control, rest your feet on the wall. And then it's the same exact thing. The loading is the same, except it's your body weight. It's the only difference. And if you're able to do that, it's a very easy move to do. But again, focus on the upper traps. But we're running over time here, so let's wrap it up for the day. We'll have another podcast again talking about some stuff next week, guys. Leave it in the comments what you'd like to see. Please remember, everybody, I have an Etsy store. It's covered in all kinds of useful tools. They are all dirt cheap. Remember to leave a like, share, or comment because it helps this channel grow. And remember how I talked about a big part of my company, my dream. You want to help me? You can do that by subscribing, finger exercise, liking, sharing it with people who need this exercise. Well, Kim, you too. You're in a different country. You do it too. But anyways, this is helping to get the information out to people so they can stop being scammed by all of these people who have no idea what they're doing and are not trying to help them. So anyways, have a great day, everybody. Stay in your grind. Well, Kim, thank you for doing this, and I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Thank you, Coach. See you around.
Every little bit counts. Don't forget, get your finger exercise in and help me out at the same time. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.